We are happy to see you with us today. We hope you are enjoying this lecture series. Today we have Mr. Renzo de Pablo joining us for his lecture. Renzo, should I say proud alumnus in general of IBB. I'm sorry, I just have to pinch at him to see how this is gonna go. So Renzo did IBB many moons ago, and now he is a graduate of University of the Arts in Utrecht, with a bachelor in product design. And I'm also happy to say that some of our students are joining us today. I hope that they learn from this and I hope that they also ask questions and enjoy this and this counts for everyone, not just the students of ours joining us, because if there's one thing that Renzo always did is he was busy asking, who is he? Who is Renzo de Pablo? Experimentation. If you read the Facebook post, the event, you know that he experiments, he writes a lot, sculptures, performances, live and recorded, etc. So I don't think there's much left to say. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. And if you'd like to see more, let us know. Tell us what you think about this series. Drop us comments, DMs, and so on. So Renzo, the floor is yours. Good luck.
Yeah, cool. I still have to get used to calling you Tittle. Let's see. Oh yeah. Oi. I'm Renzo. Let's see what else. It's kind of now. Oh wow. Spotlighted your video for everyone. Great. Coming live to you from Berlin. At a partner's house because I live in the forest. So yeah, and forest doesn't have great internet. And I was not gonna risk that we had shitty internet just to, not have this happen. But yeah, also I haven't had a computer in 2 years, so I kind of have it more analog. I also have scans, but we're gonna figure it out because I'm not happy with the scans. But I will also share a screen to show some stuff. I think I want to take people along the journey of who I am, where I come from, and where I want to go. This includes, let's say, works also, but also life experience, because I think for me, these two things are like automatically linked to each other. And I will show you why that is in a very short time. Yeah, because most people of Curacao know that a lot of people love painting or sketching when they were growing up and whatnot. And I didn't have that. I was not a sketcher. And also, the scans and all these things. You can see I'm very primitive when it comes to these things. But I mean, everyone has their things. So I will share screen now to start talking. And I will also, let me see, I will share screen if I can do that. I think so. Omar, let me know if things are wrong. Can you see it?
I'm seeing the Explorer window.
Okay, wait. Then I need to go on Zoom again. Stop share. And then I have to share. Click share. How this? Yeah. Right. I think now you can. Or not?
Right. Did you open one of the PDFs or something, or what?
Yeah. Well, I'll open the PDFs up.
Yeah. We can see your screen at the moment.
Great. So how I'm gonna present this this is how it looks like, becoming Renzo de Pablo. It's kind of a frame with a question mark. I think it was fitting. I didn't really think too much about it, but it's about frames, context, blank canvas, and a question mark. This is kind of, I think, a good image of who I am, because I don't know. And still always trying to figure it out. And it's called Becoming Renzo de Pablo. My graduation thesis was called Being Renzo de Pablo, so I think this is fitting because it's always a wisselwerking, let's say an exchange of who I am or who I'm becoming. So this is why it's called like that. I will then also show this. The content, this is the content. I will be using a metaphor as a tree. Not only the tree, but also the environment around it and the different elements of a tree to talk about the content. This is a way of using also life that I live now in the forest. I came more in touch with how life works in the sense of not only as humans, but also as beings. So let's start, shall we? So the first thing we shall talk about is what is needed to be done to grow a tree. I think there's water, there's sun, and there's soil needed if you want to start, growing a tree. So let's start with that. Very logical. This is my family, part of it at least. 2 years ago, I found out I have a little brother. That's Achim. He lives in the Netherlands. And I have a twin brother. That's him right there, Raul. And these are my parents. This is the soil, the sun, and the water that is needed for, let's say, the foundation of growing this tree that I call myself. I think what is important to mention about my parents is that they're very liberal. They're very left-leaning. I know that doesn't tell a lot of people in Curacao a lot, but if you come from Curacao, you know that most of the people there are quite conservative. They believe in something one way or another. And my parents chose to not do that. This brought a lot of excitement in my years because I could research all these things that I was interested in. I could ask questions, nothing was off the tables, and a religion was a playground I could play with. So when people were having their communion or anything like that, I always was like, why can't we do that? My parents were like, you can do this, but it's on your own free will. We'll just bring you to the church and that's it. We don't interact with you in the sense of, because that's none of their business. But also I went to Marnix, both the, let's say, the VMBO or VSBO and the, let's say, basisschool. So that was also religious school. And I got confronted a lot with religion. We went to church with school and all these things. And I didn't get it. I can remember in a car ride with a friend, I asked, who is Jesus? Because this was not a thing. And I got dealt with a lot of backlash from the family in that car ride and from the kid itself. So this is kind of the living environment I grew up in. Also, my mom is from Suriname, Asian descent. So we spoke a lot of Dutch. This is also very uncommon for, let's say, Untitled Chapter, a person of Curaçao. And with my dad, I spoke Papiamento. So also, majority of the time, people just thought I had a Dutch mom. Let's see. I'm a twin, as you can see here as well. My parents believe in individualism. So unlike most twins, we never dressed up the same. We were both also allowed to express ourselves how we want, clothes-wise, interest, and all the friends. So we are very different people today as well. And basically, yeah, I'm more in the sense of autonomy, let's say punky, alternative, and my brother's more in the high-end Luxus life. We're very different, but basically we never fight, and I accept him who he is, and he accepts me who I am. So this is the environment that I grew up in. Now we will move a bit shortly. No, that's not it. In the environment, let's see, this will be, yeah. So this is a nice portrait of how I would like to portray my family, the necessary environment to create the tree. Then we go to another. I tried to document, let's see. Yeah, this is, I think, right when I started IBB, right? Look how cute. Look at this. Oh yeah, this is House of Worship. Shout out to Renzo de Pablo. Like, it's great. It's great. I love it. I think this is my first work in the sense of political, but I didn't know it was political at the time. But let's start with, I was more or less, the tree was growing, and let's talk about the roots. I think the roots for me are my fundamentals when I started becoming opinionated. I started becoming opinionated because I started noticing that my beliefs or my things that I thought were interesting were not the majority and also taboo. And I didn't know it was taboo most of the time because I can talk about these things. Every time at the dinner table, we talked about religion or whatever topic. I can remember, you see this hair? I don't know how the rules are on Curacao, but at Marnix, this was a no-go. Like you as a male identifying person, your hair had to be this short or you had to cut it. Anyone, please tell me, is this a rule still? Because then we can do an action to fight against this. I am willing to do an action to go against it. This is also,
I
is it? Wait,
sorry.
wait. Tell me,
I
tell
was
me, tell me.
I believe that it still is because if I'm remembering correctly, other schools are also doing this still too.
So what are we doing about it? Okay, so let's go there. That was one of my first, let's say, interventions I did. I can remember this class was rowdy and the head of the, like Mevrouw Smit, if I'm not mistaken. I just call names. I have no shame. She came and said, and De Pablo, you have to cut your hair as well. And I took it upon myself. Okay, I have long hair. Cool. I shaved it off. The next day, I went to her face. I was like, what do you think of this? So that's where I noticed I have a thing with authority. I have a thing with conformity. And when I started IBB, this is one of the first works we had to do was we had to start a political group. I think that was pretty nice looking back at it. And I was really into cults. Like I still am. Cults about like just manipulation and how people can believe in one person and the higher up. So as a result of my parents, of the, let's say, the environment that my parents created, I didn't have the limitations of religion, so I could dive into other extremes, which was the opposite, right? I was into Satanism. I will show you shortly things later, but here, this was, let's go to the cover photos of mine, because I think my cover photos on Facebook are very telling. So this is in 2012, I think. It was kind of, let's say, a time where I was diving into my interest, and I would like to show you all these things of what my interests are. For me, I can remember clearly this was just manipulation. I could see this as manipulation and a higher being giving everyone the same shit. I think the picture speaks for itself. Let's see what else. So yeah, religion fascinates me, always has and always will be probably, and it's always inherently linked to my work, whether I like it or not. But as a lot of people were religious and I started questioning this on a very young age, I noticed I started losing friends as well. And people started calling me Satanist. I like punk, I like rock. I used to like metal back on the island. I was this 12-year-old boy at this Willemstad punk show. I don't know if they do that anymore, but way too young. But, so that was my exposure. And was the place where losers or outcasts could meet and really be together. So also Clockwork Orange. You will get an assignment, people of IBB, I heard. So be on the lookout for that. Clockwork Orange was really, I used to call my friend Droogies, a way of like how I could see people dissecting, in the sense of, it's a very interesting movie. It talks about Beethoven, classical music, let's say ultra violence, sexual assault. So I was really diving into, the taboos of, society and the outskirts of that, as you can see in this image. I also loved sociopathic movies. This is Patrick Bateman. So I was really pushing at the outskirts of Curaçao, what the people allow or not about death, let's say sexual assault, religion, violence. I used to love morbid things as well. I think it was a direct relation, let's say, opposite side of religion, life, and transcendence. And I went then on the opposite side of death, as you can see, and also David Berg. So these were influences I was getting before I actually started art. I used to love research. I still do. It drives me mad. That's my passion. So these are my references. This picture is highly debatable, but it's part of who I am and how I've grown. The music I'm into, Jerry Garcia, LSD, all these things. And Sid Vicious as well. You know, this was also one of my first images of where I saw that body mutilation can be an art form. We'll get into that a bit later, I think, because it's part of my work as well. Also Samo, Jean-Michel Basquiat, before he became famous, used to go as Samo with a group of people. And he showed me as well, or they showed me that, you know, messages you want to share doesn't have to be extreme. So yeah, these are the people, right? So this was my information, and because I also have ADD, I have a chaotic brain. I'm a chaotic person. I try to reduce that now or have it under control. This information had to go somewhere, and it was writing, but it also was translating it into images. As you can see, I'm not the best drawer of anything, but it had to go somewhere. And this is how I entered the way of art, as you will. I went to IBB as well. I can remember that a lot of people were quite talented in painting or sketching, all these things, hyper realistic, which is great, I think, but I didn't have that talent. So I was on the look for what can I do? And that allowed me to experiment because I didn't have my thing. And I didn't come from that art perspective. So I just like playing around. I can show you then also how my sketchbook used to look like. I think I can rotate this for better. It's a lot of writing. I also liked Jackass, so I wanted to become a stuntman for a very long time. We also have a short intro of me getting hit in the nuts somewhere on IBB's page 3 times, super authentic. We don't do fake. And that was the best idea, I remember. You can see here, for instance, as well, how what I consumed was I was getting out directly. Yeah, there was an atraco, there was wheels getting killed in that time and whatnot. So all these things, and I was also getting into sexuality of things, right? So you can see these things also in it. Everything was mixed. I didn't have an order of things that just had to get out. As you can see here, I remember also seeing a dead cat on the street. I was pretty stoned. Yeah, guilty. And we saw a dead cat on the street, and exactly this photo or this cat got tattooed on Sylvia. I don't know if the people remember, but I tattooed Sylvia when I was 18 or something, stick and poke, and it's still very much there. Wait, let's just share it. I feel like I'm just sharing. Yeah, I'll show you the video or the photo because it still looks profi. Or profi is German. It still looks professional. No. Let's see if you no. I have no idea how this works. Maybe I shouldn't. No. Let me see. No. Oh yeah. Look at it. Isn't this great? Right? So don't be afraid to experiment on people's skin as well. Just have consent. Like, so yeah, I just allowed myself to do a lot of things. I wasn't limited by a passion of mine or what I wanted to perfect. I just wanted to do things, and I think IBB gave me the space for it. Also, a lot of times I used to get in trouble. Shout out to Derika. Like, yeah, Crow entered the waiting room. I think Omar can accept him or them or whoever. Thank you, Omar. You know, so I was playing with boundaries as well. You know, also the people of IBB, I used to challenge them. and also what is art and what is not, right? Why can't I not jump from a tree in a broken glass and call it art, but a painting can? You know, this also messes up with the institution you call IBB and Capriles. I think most people from IBB would know this as well, that certain things are not allowed. Like, I love fire, but you know, if your school is in a mental hospital, such things are not allowed. So I was looking for other solutions. As you can see, this is one of my first sketchbook sketches as well. I think Januta even drew something. Also, you know, I feel good. I get to go back to my past. So shout out to Januta. Great person. Also another IBB alumni, if I'm not mistaken. So after doing that for 3 years, or actually 2 years, I wanted to go to the Netherlands to pursue art. But Tirzo and the crew and David decided that it would be maybe even better for me to stay another year. Not that I wasn't ready, but that, you know, I can perfect my craft or keep playing. And I did that. And then it was time to create a portfolio. I did that. I was thinking of going to art science in The Hague because that had no context. And I think I would thrive in there. But they suggested product design. I didn't know what it was. I think 2 weeks before we just applied and I got accepted. And I went to the Netherlands. Yeah, doing product design. So in the Netherlands, product design, first off, we don't have product design on Curacao. When it wasn't something people really specified. Like, I remember Amanda, she wanted to be a product designer and she made furniture. So yeah, I wasn't really familiar with, how do you call it, product design, but we went anyways. And it was a surprise. It was some getting used to. First off, I was the only migrant in the class. The rest were all Dutch. I remember we applied in English, but since everyone was Dutch, okay, Nederlands, prima, it's all good. But you know, so also I used to longboard every day. Longboarding was my life. And now in the Netherlands, I used to take a train because I used to live in Amsterdam to Utrecht. So that's where, for me, where I learned or got taught. My life is upside down right now. Everything what I had an idea of who I was changed. I liked longboarding, you know. People used to drop me home. Omar and Crystal, shout out, you know. So, and now I have this responsibility. I didn't have keys. Now I had 3 keys that I had to take care of, my bike and my house. So that, and also product design. I think for me, what's the biggest difference between art and product design is that art, some people can make things and people can look at it in the sense of like, hey, look what I did. And product design is always in relation to the other. Because mostly you have clients, let's say like that, and you are making something that someone will use, however. And also the biggest question of product design was like, what is a product? What is product design for you? And I was just lost, you know, in the sense of like, I didn't know who I was because life was changed upside down. I didn't do HAVO or MBO. I went to the uni, I failed an IQ test, which is also shit because they ask questions that, as a UD Curaçao person from Curaçao, you don't really have the general knowledge of this. Failed it, went to this whole conversation about why I should go there, all these things. IBB helped, or David and Tirzo. And there was in the Netherlands, right? So in my first year, I will show now as well works that I have made each year in my university time. Also, I don't make furniture, but you will come to know that soon. So this is where we are in the trunk. Hey, Nelly. Nelly wants to come in. I think right. Yeah. So basically, I don't make products. So if you think of product design of tables, chairs, lamps, that's not what I do. But I will show you what I do. So let's see. This is I will show you now a short bit of a video. I think that will be possible. It's called Taking Mita. Taking Mita was a intervention I did 2 months in, I think it was September, yeah, November. The context was I felt I didn't know who I was anymore because everything changed. And I wanted to show people this because that's what I was dealing with. So we had a philosophy class by Imara Felkers, cool philosopher. She does a lot of like physical things as well in the sense of teaching wise, but allows for physical movement. And I went to her in her face and I told her, I'm going to do an intervention now because I am lost and you're not going to give us a class or you're not going to teach us anything because I want to do what I need to do. Also an intervention for her. Mind you, she has been, as we call it, triggered or traumatized by an intervention 5 years before I even know. So this was not something she was very comfortable with, but I didn't know that. I just took the space and almost dressed till naked. And I wasn't sure I wasn't going naked, but I wanted to address to people, who am I? And not only, for instance, I'm representing Sean Riggs, he got killed by police, but in the sense of who I am, me without the labels, me without the logos, me without the funky shoes, for instance, or the fancy brand. And I talked Papiamentu. I think it's very cringy, but it's a start. To tell people who I am, my classmates. So that's that. I will show that a bit.
Quem imita? Diz um gai que quem imita? Diz um amigo de Janeiro. Quem imita? Quem imita? Sabe se?
So that was a bit of Taking Mita. So that was my first, let's say, intervention for myself, but also for others in the Netherlands. And it kind of made rounds because I didn't announce it. I went against the teacher's will and all these things. So yeah, it taught me a lot of how the audience reacts and how you're speaking literally two languages and how that is a miscommunication. For instance, Ilse, she's pretty cool now, but before that, she's like, Taking Mita sounds a lot like Keita. So she thought I was on ketamines or something. Mind you, this is also product design. This is not fine arts where performances are known and all these things. This is literally where people come to make tables and chairs because they want to be the next whoever. Right? And it's also a different language. So it was, yeah, it was pretty like interesting and hard at the same time because I wanted to communicate something that's not communicated through language. And I think if you want to see the whole video, you can also see that Flores, he's a conservative asshole, but he got what I was saying. He knew that I was trying to express something that wasn't able with words. So yeah, that was one of the things I did in my first year. I got my propedeuse. Then I went to my second year and we had clients. as a product designer. And as you can see, those are my products. So we had clients of people that had breast cancer, and they got their breasts removed. And what they actually wanted was product designers reimagining breast prosthetics, because it's heavy, it's expensive, it's like not personal because everyone can get the same one. And it's just difficult to wear. And I asked them as well, why do you do this? You know, why don't you wear without? And it's usually society is pretty hard on me if a woman or a woman perceived person has no breasts. So they wear it to not get uttered. So what do I do? I decide to make my own breast to wear for 3 weeks, because I wondered also in solidarity, what happens? What is uttering? I also felt that I was uttered in the Netherlands because I'm not from there, but also I have been uttered on Curacao because I'm different. So I decided to make a breasts, and I decided to wear them for 3 weeks everywhere I went. So this is how I looked like underneath my shirt. All right. Still very cis, but with breasts. For people that don't know what cis is I identify with the gender I have been given at birth. I don't know if this is a thing, common thing. So also at the same time, I was so much into philosophy and all these things, so I decided to write a book about the breast intervention, about my experiences, about a diary, about where I write every day down what I experienced based on the uttering because of my breasts. I was at the bus station, these people were honking at me. I was like, is it that visible? People were invading my private space because, as you can see, I had a beard. I had Ada is I had so also the people that knew me suddenly saw me with breast, and they were like, what is going on? They were like, are those real? So they kept touching them as well without my consent. So I felt all the time people were in my space. I couldn't breathe without getting judged, right? Or someone noticing something. You know, some people were like calling, like, is this you in transition or something? I didn't want to define myself, like, hey, it's none of your business, just leave me be. I even went swimming, and it was around the summertime with a partner and with her friends. And, you know, these guys made fun. And I was like, I don't care because I made this choice. So because of that societal uttering, I decided to make a sculpture. The sculpture is based on proxemics. This is a theory about animals, that there's not a hierarchy, but a distance that animals have. For instance, you know, why a squirrel doesn't hang out necessarily with a fox, right? There's people in the waiting room. Oh, Travis, nice.
Yeah, go ahead, dude. I let them
All
know.
right, thanks. So basically I created a frame that is 120 meters. This is the meters that is the max for social distance that you feel comfortable. Anything less than 45 centimeters is intimate space. So I created it in a social space, and I created it with a sort of level up because I thought I was clever. I did something that was for me important. Because I made an autonomous choice that does not favor society, but it favors me. So I own it. And I don't care what other people say, but at the same time, another reality is play. You're different than us. So we have our right to shame you because you are different and you do not fit in the mold again. Coming back to the box. So what I did, again, an intervention, was, since I got mostly the bad reactions on the city or society, not at other places, not from my friends or whatnot, I decided to put it back in society. I didn't know how things worked. in the sense of like, I didn't know you have to also ask for permission at the gemeente and all these things. I just went with a bakfiets. I just put it there. And the first hour, the cops came. The cops came because I don't have a, so they were like, you can't stand here and all these things. I was like, okay, I'm out. I just went to stand somewhere else. So I clearly didn't learn from that. And I wore a black underwear and a black bra. And from each perspective, you could see me, but you saw me wearing a breast. But if you went to the front to actually see my breast, you would see a mirror with a reflection of yourself. Yeah, I will show also a bit of the video, but here you can see how I've got looks and what our people are trying to figure out what is actually going on. And luckily the cops or gemeente, the people handhaving, the people that are the security of the city didn't see me in this position. I was there for 3 hours and I was like, okay, it's fine. And it became a sort of spectacle. I didn't write that it's an art piece. I didn't write it's an intervention. I didn't write anything, not even my name. I'll show you the video. The video is on Vimeo if anyone's interested in longer. And I called it, Is Bad Fate Unavoidable? Bad fate is a philosophical term by Sartre. I used to like Sartre at a certain point in my life. Philosopher, French, really weird eyes. It's pretty crazy. So, and Jacques Lacan, as I said, I used to love philosophy and all these things. He focused on how the gaze is, let me explain a bit more context. The gaze is something that also when you are a kid or a baby, at a certain time, you realize that's you in the mirror. So I use this theory as well, that the gaze, every time the video is sped up, but if someone looks at me, I become self-aware. So the video slows down a bit. And here you could see kind of the, how do you call it? How the intervention was on a video documentation style. It was very long, so hence I decided to cut it down and speed it up for quite some time. Let me see, I can. Opa. No. So this is how it looked like in the city. You can see people interacting, and there was nothing besides their own curiosity to look. You can also see soon that there's 2 black brothers that are showing up and they're making pictures. And many people thought they were a part of it because we looked similar. So they started asking questions of what is he trying to tell us and whatnot. And they also had cameras. So, and this is what I think is important also of interventions and not galleries, is life plays its own roles. You know, I think everything is a performance, which is great because it's a joke. Even identity is a joke, I think, in the sense of you can play with it. It's very moldable. And sometimes even this moldable molds you. But yeah, these are done. I will skip a bit so you can see how the interactions were when they stood there and then more people shortly came and it became a whole spectacle. And not everyone was aware of what was going on, but I also left it open to the viewer. So reclaiming a bit of, wait, meeting controls. Wait, how do you go up? Yeah. Yeah, reclaiming back what this othering is like. And also the ladies that were coming, you know, with the expectations of wanting a new breast prosthetics that is more lighter and more eco-friendly and less expensive and all these things, came back to find me that I did this performance, and they were very thankful that a male is willing to go this far just to feel, without the grief of having cancer or removing your breast, a sense of identity. So they weren't, let's say, pleased to not have a thing that's what for them, but they experienced joy of that someone is willing to go that far. Also, it's point in noting that one of my professors told me that he liked it a lot, but he would like me to not continue going this farther because the school is not responsible for anything that happens and all these things. And also, you know, I'm still in a school context, so it would be great that things stay in school. This is my first hint of like, you know, what are we going to do about that? You know, a sense of authority tells me something, I immediately become skeptical and I question, and I will find my own way. So that leads me to my third year. My third year, for most people, is where you do internship. As I said, I don't like authority. So I was like, I'm not doing an internship. I'm not going to be like, oh, you're the master and I will learn from you, because that's not how I worked. I gave it a shot. I tried Lydia Schouten. I think some people that are even before my time of IBB have had a like a residency. She was there, and she's a feminist and she's hardcore, and she does performances. But you know, she told me, what is the idea that you want me to, you know, be under me? She doesn't make a lot of work anymore, and she has moved away a bit from performances. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do that anymore because I tried and it doesn't work. So I'm gonna go my own route. But before we had to go our own route, we had a Wanderschaft. A Wanderschaft, you know Wanderschaft? It's a German thing. Yeah. So Wanderschaft, you know, we had to go with our trade. It's a German thing. And go into the outside world. We had 1 month where we're not allowed to be at school, and we had to, yeah, do something with our craft. My craft was I wanted to get to have experiences. So, and I realized my work was mostly about who am I, right? Or who, and then also basically I asked them, but who are you? This is what I started asking then in the beginning of the third year, and this is where I went on a Wanderschaft. So this Wanderschaft included that I wanted to go to Bordeaux. The Dune de Pilat is like one of the biggest dunes in Europe, and I wanted to end there. But also I wanted to get to know people. Let me let me see, how do you go on video? I don't know. But so I wanted to get to know people, and not people on the streets or in the bar, because I do that plenty of times, but really people and showing up who they are. And I think one great example of getting to know people is in their space, in their own home. But also being, you know, a person that loves to challenge the body and whatnot, I decided to go as a nudist. I decided to go to nudists, people that describe themselves as nudists, to their house to get to know them without their clothes, without the performative social aspect. And I ended up in some pretty weird places. I don't have a lot of pictures, and I'm happy about that. But for instance, I went to a small village. I've never been to a small village in the Netherlands, in Limburg, and to a priest's house. And this priest was a nudist. And as you can see, this is one of his things in the room I was sleeping. He had like a lot of like Jesus memorabilia. And I wanted to go from the Netherlands to Belgium, and then Belgium to France, and then and I actually did it. I also was dating someone at the time. Keep this in mind for later. Yeah, So this was in the Netherlands. Here we have a picture with an ambassador of some place in South America. I was at the guy's house. He was a philosopher, but he was also a person in United Nations that had worked there, and he was just hanging out with an ambassador of the United Nations. So these are surprises that I found along the way, right? And also in France, I was at so at these places I started to figure out, yes, I came to you because I thought you were a priest, but he was way more. He was also a lover of opera and classical music. I also like that. So we started finding ways of who are you? And then it was more like, but who are we? This will be very important also in later things that I will show. People are multifaceted. They're just not one thing. If you're a nudist, that's a part of your life, but it's not. So also they showed me their passions. For instance, I was in France in Lille. I met this guy in Prague and he said, yeah, of course I can host you. And I met him and I knew he was gay. And I thought, okay, cool, that's fine. So I went to his house. I think it started on Friday and I was going to leave on Monday. So I was Friday alone. Saturday, 2 more guys came over. Sunday, I think 4 more guys, and we went to drink and all these things. And before you know it, I ended up, almost in a gay orgy, right? So, and being a person that is into experiences, he told me as well, hey, this is gonna happen now, or you can go in a separate room and just sleep and rest. But this really gave me the idea of, yeah, people are multifaceted. People, even if you're nude, that doesn't mean you're not performing. That's also kind of what I learned along the way of that. And I really love this picture. I told them, hey, picture. And they were like all ready to pose and whatnot. And it just reminds me a lot of, yeah, the experiences of life. And I think I'm really looking for new experiences all the time. And that's why I like discomfort, because it teaches you certain things that you wouldn't necessarily think. They're like gifts, but you just have to look up these gifts. So I was in Paris and I had some altercations with my ex-partner or partner at the time. And basically I went from Paris with a with a bus to Utrecht because it was an emergency. And eventually, I think 2 months later, we broke up. And basically, it was a very intense relationship. I was pretty hurt. And because I was a caretaker for this person, because she was mentally unwell, I lost that sense of identity of like not only boyfriend, but also the sense of like, I used to take care of a person and now that's gone. So again, figuring out who am I, because I thought I was this person. And as soon as that happened, I was like, okay, I need to do something. Keeping the, let's say, the love of religion, I looked into Judaism, and they have what is called an upsherin. An upsherin is after from the birth till 3 years old, you are not allowed to cut a boy's hair because it's all taking it in and taking influences. And at the third year, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm wrong, do correct me or do come and tell me. They cut the hair so he can express himself how he wants. And I thought, this is nice. This is and also I used to identify with my hair. I still do, but I'm now way more chill about it. I think my hair is a part of my identity. I can't take it off in the sense of like clothes. And a lot of people knew I cherish that. I haven't cut my hair here since I left Marnix, and I did IBB that wasn't cut and all these things. So it meant a lot to me. And having lost something, and also that the ex-partner then, treated me very poorly, but I had to deal with all these consequences. I decided to do a work where I kind of let people inflict pain on me. I still haven't dissected entirely why, but it wasn't coming from a great place. I will show you. It's called if I'm not mistaken, let me see. Yeah. Do you? I'll just look it up. Then I know it for sure. But I'll also show you the video. Yeah. Did you consider that I'm the one having to walk around like this? It's a work that it was also intervention in the sense, but in more the school sense. We had an assignment, a project that people were working on. They were finalizing their things for internships, and I just come there like, "Hey, who wants to cut my hair?" And you know, how many, let's say, Dutch white folk have even touched black hair, or even cut it, or having, everyone has that certain urge to feel it or even cut it. Like having this power is seductive, and I think I use that to my advantage, but I don't think it's my advantage. And I told him, you can do whatever you want with my hair. What type of hair? Everything over my face. So I got a scissor, I got a trimmer, and yeah, I told him, do what you want. So I started cutting first because for me it was important that I break the ice. And also on the video, you can see then what I was lacking in my, let's say, relationship, having clarity of an honest answer, I tried finding in here. So when people were cutting my hair however they want, when they were done, they got a paper and that asked, did you consider that I'm the one having to walk around like this and not you? Confronting them with their choices of, were you mindful to me? Did you keep in mind that I'm the one walking around like this, like however this was? And many people said no. They were like, it's your hair. It grows back evenly. No, because I'm the one. I'm not the last one or the first one. So they were pretty honest, but very hard. So, and this is Andrea. I don't know if you can see this very well. Also an HKU alumni. I think she graduated this year or last school year. So congrats. I think Travis is also in here. So congrats to you. I get to say this in video to you. Yeah, let's continue watching it for a bit. So this is 5 years of not cutting my hair, give or take. So here you can see how it looks like. I didn't have a mirror in front of me either, so I would be confronted with it in my own time whenever I had a mirror. See some people telling it felt great to cut your hair and all these things. People felt pretty bad because I didn't create a nice, comfortable environment. I was suffering, and I think people could feel that. So there was only one person that tried to even it out, which I think was pretty hard. But yeah, here from this point, I started going into my, let's say, darker parts of life. I started losing myself. And I highly suggest losing yourself, even if it's toxic for the time being. It's a great teacher. Yeah, so the haircut was, I lost myself, I lost my sense of identity, and also my internships were coming. And I told my teachers, fuck all of you. I'm just gonna focus on who I am, rediscovering that as well. In the sense of, how do you call it, cutting my hair. I'm gonna starting to go to therapy and figuring out what that brings me. So this mentally, I get to know myself, and emotionally, physically, I started doing improvised dancing in Rotterdam. So to get more in touch with my body, and let's say artistically, I would have performances each month. I won't show these performances because if you want, you can find them, but because of time, and also I think there are more important things. So important, one of these things was, it was Christmas. We all know of Curacao. Not a lot of people have family there, and it's very expensive to go back to Curacao, where you come from. I told my therapist, I'm gonna get blackout drunk, and I'm gonna be alone. I'm gonna fast, and I'm just gonna drink. And my therapist said, yeah, fine. Oh, hey! Okay, sorry, I was surprised. I have a special guest that just joined, which I'm surprised by. Let me see if he's still in here. Oh, and girlfriend's in here. I didn't know that. Shout, this is girlfriend. You know who you are. I don't need to tell your name. Ah, this is great. What are you laughing at? This is like a great wait, I need to see more people in here. Arturo. I'm happy you're here. I just wanted to say that. Okay, we go back. Arturo has the best nail polish in the game, just saying. Yeah. So no, that's a bit too soon. So here is where I decided to get blackout drunk. I have a cassette recorder and I decided to play it. Or record and drink and listen to metal because I like that, and just see where it ends up. I don't remember this day, but I'm happy I documented it, and I think it's a crucial part of the rediscovery. So this was Christmas 2017. I was reading Martin Heidegger on the time as well. Do you know him? Such a shitty philosopher. Hmm. Hmm. The audio is shitty, but it's crucial for me that I show this, because after that I was like, okay, you know, I have choices, I'm responsible for them, and let's change. Wait, I have, okay, yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, so basically I experimented with hair. This was me in LA. My brother was graduating, and I was finally with my family again after I think a year. As I said, I was going through stuff, so I think my hair was a way to express that to people. And basically, this is how I wanted to look like. And my mom was in the other room, and when I came out, I was like, I made a choice. I'm happy. This is how I feel. My mom was really disappointed, and she was really, you know, like on Curacao, I think distance from the Netherlands or Europe to Curacao, I tell my mom a lot of stuff, but she's never really confronted physically or emotionally another intervention. For her, if I say intervention, it's mostly a disruption between everyday life. And she didn't like it. She really didn't, because she found it destructive, which it is. And I just cried. You know, I was also learning to deal with my emotions, learning that basically suppressing emotions is a thing taught to males, especially in the Caribbean or African descent. But it's just a thing, you know, also patriarchy. And I could finally cry in my mother's arms, you know, that I saw how my choices affected her and it just upset me. So then I just shaved everything off, even my, and I was more than on the journey of rediscovering. I started rediscovering, finding joy in dancing. And one of the performances I did, I was accepted, was in Italy. In Italy, we had this 10-day exercise with 50 performance artists from all over the world, from ranging 19 years old to 70. And it was great. It was really what I needed. I could be myself, the sense of losing myself, but in the journey of rediscovery. Here you could see how I looked like after. I cut it all off, and this was improvised. So I can't tell you much context besides that this is Andrea Pañez and me. Andrea Pañez is a Venetian performance artist, great guy. And I highly suggest, if you have the time, check his work. And he knew what I was going through, you know, so he decided to challenge me, and not only me, but also the perception of what a black man is, you know. And as a white older guy, um and a sense of authority because he facilitated this, I wanted to challenge. And because he was the facilitator, um he put me with Juan. Juan is a person that's from Venezuela that now lives in Spain. Lovely guy. And we had a lot of conversations about our where we come from, similarities, differences, but also age, you know. I have this young body and I'm like a force to be reckoned with. You know, I wanted to become a stuntman. Also, here you can see my beautiful butt and you can see these beautiful people I'm with. I think it's a very strong picture, all improvised. Photos are also made by Lorenza Cini, which really captures the moment. So thank you, Lorenza. And here I would like to then focus a bit on, yeah, this is me and Juan, right? We talked about what the problem is of men or mankind. We always want more. And this is where the problem started. So in this performance in front of people, we were talking about my space and that I want to take my space. And if I want to take my space, I have to let other people suffer. So this is me being naked, tackling Juan to the ground because he's an old man. And this is at least what I thought. Juan is an old man, but Juan has fought a lot. So in this performance as well, he grabbed me by the arm and the leg and he just threw me out of the space. And I think I broke a toe. I think I also was bleeding from my, what is it? No, this was something else. Yeah, so I broke my toe and it was really, we went physical, but we knew we had trust in each other and all these things. So it was allowed, we allowed it. And every time I see Juan, I saw him 2 years ago, it's a pleasure and we talk and see where we're at because we both can learn from each other and each other's perspective. So yeah, rediscovery has been a thing. I've been to Italy as well because of this, and I stayed at the family's house. I also started getting back the joy of cooking because I did Marnix, I did chef school or hospitality. Oma woke me up in the mornings to make pasta. The Opa was gardening, also taught or wanted me to go there, join him. So I kind of found myself again, right? And then I entered my 4th year. This is always the graduation year, right? This is where I started questioning, like, why are we in the sense of why are we doing the things we are and all these things. And I found out I was touching the borders of constructs. Everything is a construct made by man, so everything can be reconstructed. So in my graduation work, I made a frame, a space. It's 120 meters, coming back to this proxemics. And I put a writing down of who I think I am and how I have been formed, right? And on the other side, you can see my phone with an audio, and that's where my mom talks on how she has shaped me. Because coming back to the roots and the necessary environment, all these things matter in the sense of who you are as an identity. Also, I had things lying around. Here you can see I wrote a letter, and also my blood and patches because I had to go to the hospital for a work, which I will talk about now as well. The sense of exploration. I found out it's very difficult to find out, or I found out what is my intention with doing things, what is the effort and dedication. This is how I think of, like, everything has to be intentional, it has to be effort behind it, and you dedicate yourself. So this is kind of what I wanted to do, and I found this great piece of glass at school, and I was like, I want to break it, and then I want to crawl to this chair. A friend of mine, Finn, it was his birthday yesterday, so happy birthday, basically told me, you're gonna cut your leg. It's doppelglas. Doppelglas is like double glass. It's usually for insulation. It's for winter seasons. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. So I broke the glass. Also, the video is on Vimeo if you want to watch it. I took my clothes off. The intention was like to break it and then crawl through the chair and then put the window back. That was the intention, and the effort was doing it, and the dedication was no matter what happens, just go through with it. Immediately on impact, I noticed I have 3 cuts in my legs, and these cuts were pretty deep. I didn't know what to do, but I knew I had to continue. So I did that. You can see me, and if you look closely, not on my butt, but my leg, I was bleeding severely, and then that's how it started. That's how it finished. After that, usually with art, the line is then finished, it's blurred, you're good. But here it kept on because I had to get 12 stitches. I had to pay 400 euros, which I didn't do, to the hospital. And I liked it because, this is where art doesn't have boundaries anymore. It's not the art space anymore. So yeah, coming back to that you can also see some elements, my old shoes, my shorts, my socks, because these are all things that I find that identify who I am, right? So I showed that outside, that external who I am, but inside we can have a dialogue, because I noticed in all these works and all with Curaçao as well, I want to have a dialogue about unspoken things or something. But I was naked in there and you can only see my body. It's called being in society, is like me trying to find out who I am in society, but also a Black being in society. People have judged my penis, have judged my body, have criticized me, have objectified me, all because they don't see a face. So this is what it means to be in society as a Black man, even though I show myself. So this is where I showed people the paradox. And at the same time, you can come into the space and ask me questions if you would like. Also, emotion, it was very emotional. The people's conversations and dialogue were emotional. I put needles through my body to give the place or give the emotions a place, a home, because emotions have places in the body. We just need to acknowledge those and look where they are. So having done that and realizing there is no dialogue in the Netherlands for me about, let's say, colonialism or all these questions I've been asking, and I noticed that Germany has been asking these questions already, I decided to move to Germany, because I also have noticed that Germany already, for instance, Germany already has dialogue with a certain stuff that they need to deal with as Germans, as their history and whatnot. And I was ready to go do that. So I moved to Leipzig. Because also for my next research project, it was more like, okay, so I know that I'm a construct of society, but what happens if I'm in a society that isn't mine, not my culture, not my language, not anything? And basically what I have the conclusion of now is that Germany shows you who I am not. I'm not part of the society. I get othered, way more intense. But at the same time, it shows me who I am. You know, it puts naked my culture, my language, how I act, how I walk, because it's immediately a reference to who I am not. And it's hard. I became homeless as for 3 months. I was locked, and that's where I found the forest. I had no residency status, so that means I was illegal in Germany. I was still protesting. I was still doing all these things, and also showing people more of who I am. You know, I started creating interventions. This is an intervention we created in Berlin 2 years ago. Extinction Rebellion, they were there, but it's highly white and highly not critical. So me and some black friends and people of color went there to show who from the global south got killed. Meanwhile, they were trying to protect nature. And then as a person that wants to push things always, I made the people lay on the floor as an homage to the people that have fallen. So I made people lay on the floor and say all these people's names that have been passed away because of activism. Let's see what else. I think, wait, yes. Also at the same time, yeah, it shows me a lot of new perspectives, how I see our culture from Curacao, but also what I don't like of Curacao that is still within me, right? These are the fruits and leaves parts of the tree. The, you know, what I give to people, but also what I take. You know, so also, for instance, becoming homeless is really scary, you know, especially in a country you don't know or you don't speak the language. And I was just 4 months in Germany, and it was also Corona time. So where do you go? It is a teacher, you know, as I'm telling you, discomfort is not always a bad thing. And it rooted me, it assured me, and made me more radical because I already lost what most people are scared of losing. So now what is kind of what on my mind where I am doing this summer is I'm creating a building, a house with the wood from the forest that we have processed ourselves. Many people go to, let's say, Gamma or Walmart, or not Walmart, but the Home Depot, or in Germany it's Bauspitzi and all these things, or Obi. We actually process our own wood from the forest because one, I don't have a lot of money, and yeah, we just have the wood available, so why don't we process it ourselves? So here you can see that we build our own wood from the forest wood. We processed it for I think 2 weeks, and it's still not enough. And then we started building. You know, you can see how the frame looks. It's 6x2, so it's quite ambitious. And this is my summer project. You know, also I'm getting a lot of experiences all the time, which I would like to share. Also, I'm moving next year to Mexico, and this house will be there to pay it forward for people that have also similar situations like mine, and also learning how to build a house so I can teach it. You know, and this part, I think a fruit is a good symbol because you can eat it, but also you have a seed which you can grow as well. And I think this is currently what I'm at the moment, right? So as you can see, this is how far we are at the moment. We're now covering it, and then we're gonna put insulation and still the floor in it, and then we're done, I think. And I would like to share this knowledge whenever I'm back on Curacao as well, because in homage to Tirso Marta, you know, he knows of the houses that get built never get finished due to money, corruption, etc. Who knows? And this is a more eco-friendly and let's say a simpler alternative, which I would like to offer and maybe even learn from other people that have done similar things in Curacao. Right? So this is kind of where I'm at, getting the experiences and getting more bagage, more baggage in my bag of experiences, and then hopefully giving back. This is also what I'm doing right now, giving back the house to people that are in need. And next year I want to move to Mexico because I want to go to a uni there. I will stop sharing screen now. Let's see. Yeah, and learn more of the South American way, because I think they have a lot in common with us people from Curacao. They know Curacao before the colonial times, and just another way of thinking that's not European, or not as influential as European. So that's currently where I want to go, and building the house is where I'm at the moment. I think this is it for now. Life continues till I die. So yeah, just keep updated. I'll try to update, and I will write a book, or currently writing a book about my experiences in Germany. So that will probably come out self-published next year. So yeah, that is currently what I'm doing and where I come from and where I would like to go. Das was is that is it in German. And now let's chat, because I feel kind of weird talking to a screen without actually having any dialogue. So yeah, cool.
Yes. Does anybody actually have questions for Renzo?
I will ask questions to people if you're not. So
Anyone?
I'm more or less trying to think because of after hearing like everything that you basically presented, the question that I may have had kind of like switched around to like something completely different, because my original question would have been to ask your own artistic process. So what exactly you went into first before jumping into what you currently are doing now, but you kind of did explain it. So I was like, shit, okay, where do I go now? But I guess my current question would be, do you have, besides currently with the house that you're working on in the forest in Germany, is there anything else you intend to create or make or present and so forth in the coming years, or any ideas that you may have had?
very solid. Yes, I
Thank you.
do. I want to make. So I've experienced a lot in Germany. I mean, racism is a thing, but also, becoming homeless and all these things. And I've written a list of things that I've gone through. I don't suggest it, by the way. This can be very highly triggering for people that don't work with their traumas. And I want to stitch it on my chest, a statement, and I want to walk through Sachsen, which is one of the most racist places in Germany, where I lived for 4 months, with it in my underwear and just walk on the streets, because I think I want to reclaim that space of where I've been traumatized. So this is more, let's say, I wouldn't call it artistic. I don't use the word art mostly. It's more for me activism and speaking truth. I think art is a vessel for speaking your truth. Yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. I want to write this book, and I have now a friend of mine that wants to make every season a new work. He's a videographer and we want to collaborate. So I think that will happen till next year, July. So yeah, I think that answered it, Imani.
Yeah, and that pretty much did. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anyone else?
Yes, I have a question. My question is, so do you not regret, but do you think that choosing product design affected like your life in a way, or do you think that it was a right decision? Or yeah, I don't know if my question is clear, so I'm sorry.
Oh, great. Yeah, I get what you're saying though. There's no such thing as a right decision, right? Or at least for me, like, I get put in a situation and I deal with it the best way I can. And I think product design for me, as you can see, I don't make products, but also I'm the type of person, I don't care. I just do it in the sense of what I want. And who are you as authority to tell me I can't, you know? So if it's not the right decision, I will make it the right decision, what is right for me, if that makes sense. And I understand that's a character trait, but I do believe that in question authority, even Omar, he ain't shit. Okay, you know, so yeah, Omar is the host, and he's also part of IBB. And I think this is also an attitude I've had for very long. And I think people that have been to IBB with me, like Haley, like can express that as well. And I would hope to promote that as well. You know, question authority, question everything, but mostly authority. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Anyone else? Can I also ask people questions? Is this possible?
I mean, if they don't ask anything, go.
So does anyone want to ask or start asking other people? No?
No, then go ahead, I guess, if you want to ask something.
This is great. All right, so let's see. I see Dilara and Erin, right?
Ninja wants to ask something.
Ninja. Oh yeah. I was almost gonna call her girlfriend, but that's a bit problematic. We've grown from here. Yes, ask. Oh, I'm so excited.
I kind of had like, it was supposed to be a question, but I'm not sure if it's a question or if it even matters at this point. You were talking about cutting your hair through your breakup, etc. The thing is that you were also talking about religion, etc., being part of your, let's say, your practice. Did you ever think about the effect or the connotations of religion with hair while you were going through that process?
Oh, solid. Yes and no. You know, in the sense of this upsherin, they also do it with hair specifically, but that's as far as it got. Of impact when I did it. So yes and no. I don't like solid answers.
Buddy, you may have to repeat that because you froze for.
Yes, because my internet just said it is unstable. I said yes and no, because yes, I use Judaism and their, let's say, rituals, how they deal with hair. But now that I know more also, let's say, of the sacredness of black, let's say, afro hair and what afros can mean, I knew that, but I didn't pay too much attention with it when I was doing that type of work. So I would say yes, I was aware, but no, in a bigger context, I wasn't. Yeah, is that solid? Did I answer that correctly for you, Haley? I don't know. I never call you Haley.
Stick with the girlfriend. Yeah, it was enough.
All right, cool.
All right, Julia.
Yeah, I have a question. My mother suffered from breast cancer and had one of her breasts removed. So I'm familiar with how uncomfortable the prosthetics can be. But the way that she was dealing with it is that she had a very negative connotation with everything that had to do with breasts. Like she wouldn't even go to the beach anymore because the breasts were in her face the whole time. And I was wondering, in your process of wearing the prosthetics for 3 weeks, if you ever had any negative reactions from breast cancer patients or survivors who were feeling like you were taking something that was theirs and putting a spin on it that they didn't comprehend?
Great question. I think mostly what the perception was more like a feminist thing that I was trying to do, because in homage to, for instance, the breast cancers, I put a line when I was making the mold of the model. Like I tied a piece of rope so you still have this line that you can see, but the women that had breast cancer were aware of my process and where I wanted to go, and I was genuinely curious of how this would be. But let's say for the everyday person that doesn't know of this project, a woman that had breast cancer, there was no space for this misunderstanding. But most of them were they found it very courageous and very honoring in my part willing to go that far. But also at the same time, they were looking more forward to having a functional breast prosthetic alternative.
Do you think you delivered that for them?
The functional breast prosthetics, no.
Mm-hmm. You feel guilty
But,
about that?
excuse me?
Do you feel guilty about that?
No, because I wouldn't stay authentic to myself, in the sense of I don't have the resources or the knowledge to even bring such a solution, and this is also where I think you can go that extra mile, but you could feel that it would not be, one, you, and two, in the sense of I would doing them a disservice by doing myself a disservice, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And also I did offer a solution of like, hey, use alginat, or let's say I told them as well, if you, let's say, know you have breast cancer and you're thinking or you have to consider breast prosthetics, if you're feeling like it, use alginate, which is a mold thing that's body safe. Make the mold, pour some silicone in. If you want some pigment, there you go. That's all I can offer you if you still want functionality. So that was
Okay.
also a thing I have written in this breast intervention, how to do it.
All right. Thank you.
So yeah, I hope that answers it, but I would like to have this conversation as well.
All right, do we have anybody else who wants to ask a question? All right, I guess not,
I
but
have a,
all right, go
I
ahead.
have a question. The part where you said about when you wore the things for the breasts, and I remembered when you said a lot of people were making fun of you and saying stuff about you. Did it ever go further from that? Did it actually ever get physical?
Physical in the sense of everyone wanted to touch my breasts, not in the physical of the violence, but also not violence, but people got physical. People that knew me not that well, but they knew who I was. They suddenly saw me with breasts, so they were like, "Huh, what is this?" And then touch it. So that's the way it got physical. And also, I'm not a violent guy, but I am very violent. Let's say friendly, in the sense of like, don't push me. I don't like being pushed, and you will be met with resistance. So, and I think this energy just flows or used to flow out of me. So, not in the sense of aggression, but more in the sense of entering space. I think a lot of, let's say, marginalized people, maybe females, even catcalling is someone entering your space unwanted. So that's more how I got dealt with in the, let's say, physicalness, that people touched me.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Noelle,
Yeah, it's me again. No, you just said something about catcalling.
Mm-hmm.
And Currently, um, I'm very much busy with, let's say, being a female in a way. And I noticed that you're very much busy with being
Noeli, your volume keeps going away.
Yeah. It's warm.
Yeah.
Is it?
I was talking about you being busy with being a male in your environment. Um, so I was just wondering if you were open to collaboration of whatever type.
Definitely. You know, I also look, I identify as a cis male, but I know that's a construct. So, and I think more, let's say, males that are cis need to rediscover what male female are, because there's also multiple genders that are just not only male female. But we need to be, I think more males looking like me that identify like me need to be responsible for their actions and doing the work to find that out. So everyone who is willing to collaborate with me in the sense of playing with these roles is more free to do so. I can message you a work as well I've done with a 60 or older lady where we confront each other based on we wear the same thing. So we use, for instance, our that's societal roles to confront people with their perceptions. So I think I already have, but I am willing to do it again. But I'll send you the work. I really wonder what you think.
All right. Thank you.
And it's about Kompananzi, so that's also great. Yeah, Chatiger.
All right. We have space for one more question, if anybody has one.
Hey, I'm Ruvina Dilara.
Okay, cool.
I was wondering, this might be a stupid question, but I was really wondering how do people that does performance naked feel? Like how is the moment? How do you feel at that moment? And why do you think of such thing?
Solid question. You have to then, or at least I will define what is naked, right? For me, I like being naked. So that's not really naked, but if you mean naked in the sense of, let's say you you have dealt with trauma with a toy, like a teddy bear, and you bring that teddy bear to perform with it. I think that's nudity. That's really something personal, and that's way more harder. But I also acknowledge again, a male body is usually the stereotype of, so it can be hard. I'm also conscious of where I'm naked and where I'm not. I'm still a black man in Europe. So me and Omar were talking about it just now as well. Fetishization is a thing. So it can be liberating. For me, it's definitely liberating because I don't have to wear shirts. I don't have to perform. This is how I say mostly how performances are for me. I don't have to perform societal roles. If I want to cut and use blood, I can't do that. Sure, it'll upset people, but you have to be aware of these things. It's more about going back to the roots again, removing all these layers and showing who you really are. And I promote it more, but it's a lot to ask, and be responsible for people also giving you looks that you've never felt before. But at the same time, it can be empowering because you show you have nothing to hide. So yeah. And also not only in performances, it can also be in political actions, in the sense of, I think Ruben La Cruz, also another artist, kind of had a naked sexual dance with a white woman at the embassy of Africa, I think during the apartheid times, to show connection. So it can mean many things. You just have to find out what it means for you.
Thank you.
Solid.
All right. Thank you. And I think with that, we're going to be concluding tonight.
Bueno,
Thank you very much, Renzo. It was a
always
very
welcome.
informative presentation and a nice update into your practice and what you've been up to these last couple of years.
Mm.
For those who want to see this again, we will be posting it online at some point. I think on YouTube or something, so everybody can see it. And of course, you can share it with people who haven't been able to watch it live. So thank you for everybody who participated tonight and who came to watch Renzo. And have a good night. And next month, we will have another talk with another IBB alumni, because we don't know yet who it is. But keep track of all social media and you will know when and who this next presentation is. Have a good night, everyone. Have a good night, Renzo. Morning,
Topa.
actually, where you're at. And
Yeah.
see you next time,
Super.
everybody. Bye.
Tschüss.